Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Local SEO and Reviews Working Together, brought to you by the Restoration Technical Institute and our friends from 33 Mile Radius. And we're excited to have Drew with us today to share some of his knowledge about search engine optimization and getting reviews, and then how that all plays together to benefit us and help capture some market presence online. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Drew.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for setting this up for us here. I know it was some work to get this set up and everything, and I also want to thank everyone for joining us here today. I know you guys are busy with your own businesses and whatnot, so it's really a privilege whenever I get to speak in front of even a handful of people to talk about reviews and local SEO and online marketing in general. So I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us here today. Like Lisa said, my name is Drew Johnson. I'm one of the co-founders of 33 Mile Radius, and I've personally been involved in local online marketing since about 2008, and I really love helping small businesses grow online. For those who don't know, 33 Mile Radius is an online lead generation service for home service and primarily water damage contractors. We started that back in 2013. However, we have also created a reviews application that we offer to local businesses to help them get more reviews online. So we are involved in online marketing in both realms in terms of SEO, paid search, reviews, all that good stuff. But today isn't about me or 33 Mile Radius, and today is actually going to be about how local SEO and reviews work together to grow your business. So the goal will be for everyone to gain a basic understanding of what local SEO is and how reviews play a large part on where you show up in the Google search results and more. So who is this for? I mentioned in the last slide or a few slides ago that we work with home service contractors, but today these techniques can be applied to almost anyone who's looking to grow their local business. And a local business to me is somebody who focus on customers regionally or locally, not nationwide or anything like that. So you're in the right place if you're a small business that is looking to grow online without having to increase your marketing budget too much. A lot of people may have had experience using Google AdWords and spending a lot of money there. My goal today is to teach you kind of some free ways or very inexpensive ways to rank organically, rank in the local listings, and get more customers almost for free. The great thing about the basic principles of local SEO is and reviews is that they can be pretty simple. I know there's a lot out there online that kind of looks complex, but when you boil it down, there's only a few things that you need to do to build a strong foundation. All right, so before we get too far in the weeds, I want to review the 4 main items that I'm going to cover today. We have about 45 minutes that I'm going to talk and about 15 minutes in questions. So I want to make sure this is educational for everyone. I also want to let you guys know if you do have questions while I'm speaking, feel free to ask them with the chat window there, or I think there's a question button option as well that you can click and ask a question through. Feel free to use those whenever I'm talking. I don't want to keep droning on and on for 45 minutes. So if you want to break it up and ask a question, please do. So that being said, we're going to hit 4 main points. The first is going to be the difference between what SEO and what local SEO are. There's a few key differences there. The second is I'm going to go over the main ranking factors for local SEO and give you some pointers there on how you can rank the local listings. Third is how you can get reviews for your local business. And fourth is why local SEO and reviews are critical to your online success. So this next slide, I was going to run a poll regarding your current marketing knowledge just to get a sense of where everybody's at. Unfortunately, the tool to do that isn't working for me right now today. So unfortunately, I can't do that. But again, like I said, I'm going to keep this kind of basic for everyone. If you have advanced questions, feel free to ask, and I'll answer them to my best of my ability. All right, so I'm going to go for over a few terms in today's presentation. Again, in case you're not aware of what these mean, SEO stands for search engine optimization, and these are the methods that you can use to be found on search engines organically. Local SEO is the methods that you actually use to increase the ranking of your business listing on the search engine. So we're going to talk about Google My Business in particular today. And local SEO really revolves around getting your Google My Business listing ranked higher in the business listings inside of Google, whereas SEO is mainly about getting your site ranked higher in the organic rankings. Third, we're going to talk a lot about reviews. Reviews, in the sake of this presentation, is going to be an online review that is found in online on a site such as Google, Facebook, maybe Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, any of those type of third-party sites. That's what I'm going to talk about today is a review there. Obviously, you can get reviews a lot of different places, but primarily we're going to focus on online reviews today. All right, so let's kind of get started here. I want to share with you the fact that in 2017, you can no longer rely on one source for leads. So this means that if you're using a single online marketing channel to get leads, it's not going to be effective. You have to have some sort of presence on all of the major online platforms that your customers are hanging out on or searching on. The simple fact is that customers are looking up your company before they call in order to find out more about your business. And while they might see your listing on Google, they are likely to visit your website, your Facebook page. If you're a home service contractor, they're going to be looking at your Better Business Bureau reviews, or grade, I should say. They may be looking up on Angie's List, Home Advisor, that sort of thing. So the world that we live in today isn't that people are just going to go on Google and go to your website and give you a call. They're going to be looking at your Google My Business listing, perhaps a couple other websites before they call you. Yeah. So what does this mean for you? Because people are looking up your business in a variety of places, you have to ensure that your business not only has a presence on these sites, but more importantly, you have to build trust with your customers along the way as they look up your business. So today, as we go forward, I'm going to focus on where the majority of customers start when searching for a local home service business, and that's Google. As many as many of you may know, Google serves as a starting point for people searching for home services. Because of this, how you show up on Google serves as a strong foundation on how potential customers find and understand your business. This is because not only can customers find you, but they can also get a great sense of how you deal with your customers through the reviews that have been left with you by previous customers. But the great news is getting found and getting these reviews is easier than you might think. All right, so let's dive into the two primary ways that customers use Google to find you. The first is through Google My Business listing, and the second is through your website ranking. So I will first want to take some time and explain the difference between a local listing and a website. I know some of you might already know this, but it's good to review. Essentially, the main difference between local listings and your website boils down to who controls the site. In a general sense, local listings are controlled by a company outside of your own, such as Google, Yelp, Home Advisor, Better Business Bureau, and some of the other ones I've mentioned previously. Again, in case for today, I'm primarily going to discuss Google's local listing service, which is better known as Google My Business. Now, local listings and websites both have their merits when it comes to marketing, and it's essential that you're ranking for both. But the core idea is to remember is that potential customers are going to be using both your website ranking as well as your local listing to learn more about you. Listings are great because they essentially show more trust or give more trust to searchers because it's a third party. Because reviews are kind of filtered through Google's system, if you will, and monitored by Google, customers already have a good feeling that if you have a lot of reviews on Google, they're probably real, and it gives them a good sense of who you are and how you deal with your customers. But Your website is also equally important because you can control that a little bit more, and you can really kind of highlight more about your business, your background, your bios of your workers and yourself, and more importantly, pictures of your business and maybe projects that you have done. So both work in tandem together. Again, as I mentioned before, customers are looking at your company in different spots or channels online, different web pages online. So you need to both have a solid website and a solid Google My Business listing in order to build that strong foundation that I was talking about. All right, so to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about, I wanted to show you the difference between a local listing and a website result within the screenshot right here. So I did zoom in on this picture when I took it on my search on my screen, but this was done by just doing a Google search for Cleveland water damage. And you can see that the local listings appear above the website listings. The red arrow shows the local listing, and the green arrow shows the website listing organically. So this is what I was talking about earlier. You know, you have the map here at top, and then you get into the local listings, or the Google My Business listings, I should say. And then below that is the local organic search results for websites. I haven't mentioned paid search. I'm not going to mention too much about paid search in this webinar. Those do appear at the top. But the key thing to remember is with this map and with these three Google My Business listings, these are the first things that most people see when they do a search. The map kind of draws their attention to see who's in the area near them, and then you can kind of get in the nitty-gritty of, hey, you can see the reviews, you can see their phone number, you can see what general business industry that they are. So this local pack, as it's called in the industry, is really important to be found on because it's the first place people are looking. Also, outside of that top three that are listed, if users click on the more places or click on the map option on the main search page in Google, this is the screen that they're going to see. If they click on the map, it kind of expands out. They get a bigger map, and they can actually see more results there on the left. So a lot of searchers do this because it gives them a better sense of who's close to them, close to their home. They don't probably want somebody who's going to be 3 hours away or 2 hours away, and they want somebody who's close and local to them. At the same time, they want to see who's good. They want to get a general sense of who's got some good reviews and who doesn't. People who have 4 or 5 stars, I'm probably going to give them a call. I'll kind of research their website first and get a sense of who they are. So why does this even matter? Local SEO is extremely important for a few reasons, but the most important reason is that the map and the local pack stand out more than anything else on the Google page. If you're not listed in the local listings within Google My Business, then you're missing out on a lot of traffic that you could have to your website, a lot of calls that customers may be making to you. So, in this world that we live in right now, being on that local pack, on those top 3 listings, is extremely important. So I do have a question here now. I've been told the map is very important. Can you explain this a little bit more? Or maybe a different question is, what can we do if you're in different areas to help out our location presence? So that's a great question. If you do have multiple locations, you need to have multiple listings. And a multiple location in the eyes of Google and in the eyes of myself and generally speaking most people out there, it's if you have a different office. So if you have, let's say you're in a large city and you have a north end location and a south end location, and you have an office there and people can call into either ones. If you're on the north side of town, you want people calling into that one, or if you live on the south side of town, you want people calling into that one. That to Google and that to most everybody is going to be a separate location. So you do want to have different listings on there, and you want to make sure that you have your reviews going to the right one. So essentially, you just want to double what you're doing. You want to have 2 listings. You want to have all your customers kind of going to that listing when they're using that. So great question there. I hope that I answered it. If I don't, let me know. Another person here is asking, does that require 2 websites? No, it does not. I won't get into it right now. You can have 2 websites if you want, but no, that doesn't require 2 websites. If you do 1 website, I would at least have separate sections of the website, or at least a separate page to go over that location. I think that's just good general marketing, online marketing strategy. But you don't have to. Me personally, I could go either way. I think there's merits in both. All right, so one more question here on this, and then I'm going to get into the next slide. So what if we are serving many geographical areas, and what was we serving? Okay, in areas outside of our physical location. That's a good question. I'm going to try to answer that here. Google's ranking factor is primarily going to look at your location and how far you are away from people. They then look at other factors. So the key thing is you first kind of want to rank in your physical location first. That's where you're going to, I should say, that's where they're going to rank you first. Outside of that, once you kind of get that figured out in your location or your main city, all the other factors that you're going to do, like reviews, some of the other stuff like name, address, phone number that I'm going to get into later, that's all going to factor into that at a later point in time. So I do have a couple other questions there. I will get into that, I promise, at the end. I want to keep this moving on for everybody else as well. All right, so I want to answer the question that everybody wants to know. How do I get my listing to show up when customers do a search in my area? The answer is complicated, but for today, I'm going to try to keep this simple for everyone. To start, I want to break it down into 2 concepts that you might have heard of, and that's SEO and local SEO. Both are extremely important, and in order to start ranking, you need to understand the differences between the 2. The goal is to show up in both local listings and the organic rankings. Like I said before, your customers are looking in both spots. You want to appear in both. So essentially, SEO is the things, for the lack of a better term, that you do in order for your website to show up in Google. And in order for your site to show up in Google, there are a variety of actions that you have to do. In a nutshell, there are 2 major categories of things that you have to do in Google to rank your site. And these are on-page factors, which are the items that you can do to your website to increase your presence. And then there are off-page factors, which are the things that you can do for your website elsewhere on the web. Now, this presentation isn't about SEO. I did want to kind of give that little high-level introduction into that, and maybe in a future webinar, if you guys have questions on that, I can answer that. But this differs greatly from local SEO. And the biggest difference is that the goal of local SEO is to have your site found in Google's local listings. In other words, the big difference is that by doing local SEO, the goal is to rank your listing or your Google My Business page higher in the results of the local pack. So this could be getting it to be here in the top 3 results, or even the map listing if you have high competition in the area. So the question is, what does it take to rank higher in the listings? So let's break this down. Maz, who is one of the main thought leaders in local SEO, at least in my opinion, has done extensive research on the main ranking factors of Google My Business listings. This chart right here is the best breakdown that I have found, and the one that I kind of always refer back into. And as you can see, there are 8 main categories of factors with weighted percentages of each. And that's how important Google finds that kind of category. So I want to review each one a little bit more here. The first one is My Business Signals, and this includes the fundamentals of your listing. And the important thing of this is not to overthink it. There's not too many tricks to be done here, and again, this is 20% of the ranking factor. However, you do need to set up your account properly, which at the end of the day means telling the truth and being as accurate as possible, being as detailed as possible, and providing as much information as you can. So when you're going to set up your Google listing, or if you already have one, you need to make sure you include as much information about your business as possible. Google likes this. Google is all about information. The more information you can provide them, the better. So when you're setting it up and they ask you a question about your hours or about your business, provide them as much detailed information as you possibly can. 2 and 3 are link signals and on-page signals. And this actually ties back to your website and how Google views it. So even your listing is tied back to your website, and your website's tied back to your listing. Keep in mind, Google does this because they're always out there trying to look at different information data points to see how you rank. So the basics here are that you have to have other relevant sites linking to your website in order to not only get your website ranked, but to get your local listing ranked as well. And when I say a link, that could be a link from your Chamber of Commerce. It could be a link from maybe a plumber, or if you're a water damage company, a plumber that you refer work out to. The more links that you have, the better. So the fourth is citation signals, and this is a really important factor that I think. And what it does is it boils down to providing Google with the most accurate information as possible in a variety of places. So believe it or not, Google doesn't just look at your listing or your website. It also looks at all the other listings on the web. So this includes places like Facebook, Better Business Bureau, Yellow Pages, Angie's List, etc. There's a lot more. But not only is it good to be listed on these sites because consumers may be using it, but it also relates to Google. And what they're doing is they're going to look at those listings and see how accurate that information is on that site. The more accurate information that they see, the better. So NAP, that you may have heard of before, Google uses this a lot, stands for name, address, phone number. And all this simply means is that you have to have all of these match across all of the sites. So for example, if your phone number is different on the Yellow Pages than on Google, your ranking is actually going to suffer. So the key thing to remember is go through all the listings that you already have online and update them as best you can. The hard part about this is that some of these websites actually will create listings for you, and they may get their data from a variety of different places. A lot of times it's old data. So your phone number may be an old phone number that you had or one that you may not even use. So this is kind of, I wouldn't say hard. It's more time consuming than it is hard. So, but it's really important that you go through there and look at that. And I'm going to mention some tools here in the next slide that you can do to help kind of clear that up for you. The fifth one is review signals, and I'm going to discuss this in a few minutes, but this relates to how many reviews and the quality of reviews that you have on your listing. And what's important here to remember is that it's not just how many Google reviews you have, but it's how many reviews you have elsewhere on the web. Again, Google looks at other places, so if you have a lot of reviews on Facebook, they're going to see that, and that's going to help increase your rankings as well. Now, Google likes to have reviews on their own, so they're going to weight that more, but it's important to have reviews elsewhere as well. The sixth one is behavioral signals, and this is just a measure of how many people are viewing and clicking on your listing. The more people are clicking and engaging with your listing, the better. Google's going to see that and think that you're a good business because people are clicking on it. And that just comes over time. It's hard. It's hard at first if you don't have any reviews, but the more reviews you have, the higher in the rankings you're going to have. It kind of feeds onto itself. So number 7 is actually something you can't really control. It's personalization, and what that means is it relates to how the search engine results are sometimes altered based on what the customer has searched for in the past and other factors like that. There's nothing you can really do here. A good example would be if someone had gone to your website before, or somebody's in your location very close, you may get a boost because of that. There's nothing you can really do there except just be listed. 8 is social signals. This is pretty basic. It's that you're using social media websites to engage with your customers. Google, again, they look at Facebook, they look at Twitter, so make sure to be on those platforms. I know it can be tough to use Twitter when you're a home service contractor, but you do need to have some sort of presence there and at least be kind of updating them frequently. Facebook engagement is really good. engage with your customers there, post photos, post different articles and stuff like that. It's really crucial. So I know I just dumped a lot of information with you on this slide, but the main takeaway should be that there's a lot of small things you can do that don't require complex strategy or anything like that. You just got to go out and do them. So I got a few questions here I see. So someone asked, for Yelp, we were to set a radius of service, but for Google, I haven't found a way to show my service area. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yelp does allow you, I believe, to set a radius within your service area. Google doesn't. For better or worse, Google probably thinks that they're smarter than Yelp and kind of knows your service area better than that. I think in the past you could set your service area. I'm not too sure. Sometimes you're able to do that. I forget. I'm sorry, I haven't been in there. I just set up a new one recently. But I think that did change. I'll have to get back to you on that one. I apologize. In any case, Google, it's not a huge factor to them how you set your radius. I want to get caught up too much in that. They're going to see your city. They're going to see where you are. They're going to look at your website. They're going to look at kind of the other stuff that you got going on. So I hope I answered that question properly. I will have to get back to you on that, though, if you want. So next slide is, what can you do now? The last slide had a whole bunch on there, but I want to share with you kind of the main things you should do now to get a strong foundation for your listing. The first is to sit down and get all the correct information you can about your business. And that's basic stuff as your hours, your address, your phone number. Get that all compiled and what you want to use. Get it a good description about your business. Review it with some team members. Make sure it's kind of solid. It makes sense. Get that all kind of written up. The second thing is to take that information and list that on as many sites as possible. Now, this is kind of the hard part. You might already have listings on other sites. You might, unfortunately, those sites may have created some listings for you that you need to get rid of or update. There are some good tools out there. I like Moz. It's Moz.com. I think for $100 or so a year, they'll actually go out and help you not only monitor your listings, but help you update your listings as well. And they'll also send alerts that say, hey, there's maybe a duplicate listing or this listing got updated inaccurately. They'll kind of help you manage all that. So I definitely would give that a look. The third one is, again, make sure NAP is right. Your name, address, phone number is right across all of those sites. Anything that you're on now, make sure to update it. And that includes sites that you may not even think of, like your Angie's List or your Home Advisor site, or maybe some local, if you're listed on your local Chamber of Commerce, make sure that listing is just as it matches the rest as well. The next is photos. The more, the better. Take these photos, not only put them on your website, put them on Facebook, put them on your Google My Business listing, put them on Yellow Pages, put them on as many sites as you can. And quality is important here too. If you're in home services, before and after photos are probably the best way to go. Take a before and after photo of every job you do. If you're in water damage, especially, take a before and after photo. Not only do photos and more photos help increase your rankings, but they actually help convert more customers, because customers see those photos and like, wow, you guys do great work. I'm going to give them a call. The fifth thing is start engaging everybody on social media more. If you're not already, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, and start engaging your customers there. What I would recommend is use a tool like Buffer, so you don't have to go to each site to post every time, so you don't have to hit 3 different sites every time you want to make one post. Buffer does that for you. You have to go to one site and you can post it automatically. You can also schedule it out if you want to. So if you want to, every Monday, just schedule all your posts for the week. That's a great way to do it as well. And it's not just about posting on those. It's also about engaging your customers. If they're writing questions to you or engaging on your post, write back to them and kind of engage them and whatnot. The sixth is what we're going to get into next, and that's getting reviews. Reviews to me are very, very important. The more you have, the better. Like I said, we're going to get into that here in a second. So if you do all of these, you're going to be a step ahead of all your competition. And to me, this is a strong foundation of local listings. There's a lot more that you can do. But if you do these, I think I listed six things, you're going to be well on your way to start ranking higher in the search engines. All right, so I have a question, Buffer versus Hootsuite. I don't have an opinion. Use whichever one you like the best. I believe they both have free accounts to start with, and I think you can get at least a couple of social media accounts uploaded to those for free. So personal preference, use whichever one you like. The key thing is to do so. Use one of them. If you do use it and you use it day in and day out, you're going to start posting more just because it's easier to post on those than going to Facebook, going to Twitter, going to Google Plus. If you're using Google Plus, which you should be, it's just easier that way. All right, so now that we have gone over the basics of local SEO, I want to take a deep dive into one of those ranking categories that I showed you earlier, and that's reviews. And before we dive into how online reviews can help grow your business, I want to review the fundamental principle of marketing called social proof. You might have heard this buzzword before, and despite my dislike for buzzwords, it is extremely powerful. The idea of this principle was created by this guy named Dr. Robert Cialdini, and in a nutshell, it states that people are more likely to make an action, or in our case, give you a call or actually have you come out and do a job if they see other people doing the same thing, especially if those other people are having positive results. And this goes in deep into human psychology, which today I will spare, but it's deeply wired into our brains. And you can think of this as, almost like lemmings. People are group related. If they see somebody, doing something who's having fun or great results from it, they're going to want to do the same thing. And you can see some examples of social proof. We're going to talk about mainly users and reviews from actual customers. Those are ratings, reviews, and testimonials. That's what we're going to be talking about today. But all of this is social proof. I mean, you could have a celebrity endorse your company. Which might work if you have a local celebrity endorse you, but nothing beats users' real reviews, especially online reviews. So it's pretty obvious, or hopefully it's obvious to you, why reviews are important. There are plenty of stats out there about how many people are looking at reviews and how many people are using reviews before they purchase a product. But for the sake of time, I'm going to assume you trust me on this. But here are some good key stats. 84% of people trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. 74% of consumers say that positive reviews make them trust a local business more. And only 9% of customers don't read online reviews. To me, this is really interesting and just goes to show you how social proof is extremely important in today's environment. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that people are going to be looking at your business on multiple different channels. They're going to be looking at your website, but they're going to look at your Google My Business listing for reviews. They're going to look at your Facebook to get a general sense of, are you engaging with your customers? And what are the reviews like on Facebook? They're looking all over your plate, all over the internet for your business. And reviews are just one of those cornerstone things that they're going to look at. So, yeah, everyone, probably including you, reads reviews online before they purchase something. There's nothing earth-shattering here. But this is the key point. Did you know that reviews online can affect 3 of the most important aspects of generating leads? What I mean by this is that the more reviews you have, the better results you can see in SEO rankings, paid search, click-through rate, and even conversion rate. Reviews can actually layer on top of what you're already doing and exponentially increase their results. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have a strong foundation in your local SEO strategy, if you have a strong strategy and you're ranking for your Google My Business listing, reviews are only going to add fuel to the fire that is your local listing, your Google My Business listing. And it's only going to increase that ranking even better. The best part about reviews is that they are free. You don't have to pay Google, you don't have to pay Facebook or anybody else to get them. You might have to have a small budget to incentivize your team to ask for reviews. I'll get into that later. But in any case, they're the absolute cheapest way to grow your business, in my opinion. If you're doing the right things for local SEO, doing the right things for your website, reviews are the cheapest way to get more customers, guys. It's not through paid search. Paid search is great, but reviews, from what I've seen and from my experience helping with our customers, it's one of the cheapest methods to get more leads. I'm not kidding. So I want to dive into this a little bit more. This kind of goes back into the slide I showed you about local SEO. So like I said, Google has hundreds of ranking factors to determine where your site shows up when you do a search. But one of the ones that is growing, that has been growing over the years, is review signals. And as you can see in this graphic and the last graphic that I showed you, review signals is about 13% of the total overall ranking factors within the search results. But I think it's even more important because reviews then also help your conversion rates and your quality and all that kind of stuff. But to take a step back, there's three things that Google looks at for your local rankings, and that is, for your review rankings, and that is review quality, review velocity, and review diversity. And what Google is directly telling us is that review matters. Reviews obviously matter, and it's not just about having a few reviews, it's about having quality, frequent, and real reviews. And if you think about this for a minute or two, it makes sense, right? The more reviews that a company has, the more likely they are a better quality company, and more importantly, a real company. And this is what Google's all about. They want to help customers find the best product or service that they are searching for. So what does this mean? This means that you need to have a steady stream of good quality and real reviews over time. This doesn't mean that you can have 50 fake reviewers leave your reviews all at once. Google's smart, and they're going to know this, that you're leaving fake reviews for your business. On the flip side, they know that truly good companies will get a steady stream of good reviews over time. And this is exactly what you should be aiming for. So if you're starting from scratch, you don't have any reviews, or maybe you have a handful of reviews, your goal shouldn't be to get 50 reviews in the next month. What your goal should be is to develop a strategy on how you can get 5, maybe 10 reviews in the next month, the month after that, the month after that, and the month after that. The goal shouldn't be to go from 0 to 100 in only a few days. It's got to be a steady stream. And once they get a sense of, hey, these guys are getting a steady stream of reviews of, a handful each week or a handful each month, that's when you're going to see the results. It's not going to just be saying, hey, everybody I've ever dealt business with, I'm going to send a request for a review and I'm going to get 100 in the next couple of days. Yes, that will help. But a lot of those actually will probably get removed by Google, and they're not going to put that much weight into it. So I know I kind of skipped over paid search earlier in this webinar, but I want to talk about this a little bit more. Actually, reviews can help your paid search as well. As I mentioned earlier, reviews can help boost your online conversion rates because your customers kind of look at those and get a sense of who you are and how you're dealing with your customers. But they can also directly impact your paid search ads with what Google calls seller ratings. And a great example of this is shown above. I know it's not really relevant, it's shoes.com, but it hopefully gets the point across. And what is unique about this is that it's an automatic extension that only shows up when you hit 150 reviews in the past year on your Google My Business account. So unlike the other paid search extensions that you might be familiar with, this one is controlled solely by Google. Again, it kind of contradicts what I was saying earlier in the earlier slide, like you don't need 100 reviews overnight. Again, you don't. This is a long-term goal. Maybe this is a yearly goal you set out to get 150 reviews so these stars show up in your search, in your paid search listing. But the best part about this is that reports have shown that it has a 24% higher click-through rate and a 26% higher conversion rate when your stars are showing up in your paid search ads. The only issue with this is getting the 150 reviews is quite difficult, especially for small businesses. However, here in a bit, I'm going to tell you some tips and tricks on how you can get reviews and hopefully how you can qualify for seller ratings yourself. So I want to dive into reviews and conversion rates a little bit more. And what conversion rates are is how many people will call or reach out to you after seeing your listing or ad on Google. So conversion rate is how many people have seen your ad or your listing divided by how many people actually either clicked on your listing, or to me, conversion rate is how many people actually called you. So the goal is, when people talk about increasing conversion rates, it's increasing how many people actually give you a call. So this is a great example here. If you take a look at the listing on the slide here, which company are you going to call? You're going to call a guy with 34 reviews, right? But if you notice the one I highlighted in blue, he actually has one review, or he has one review, but the stars aren't even showing up on the listing. This is because Google only shows stars for companies with over 5 reviews. So if you're like Dano Plumbing here, you really need to get more reviews because this other guy with 34 reviews is kicking your butt. And actually, a recent report from Bright Local showed that having a 5-star rating boosts search click-through rates by 28% on Google. That's almost as good as this bump as getting a higher search position in SEO or in local SEO, in the listing rankings as well. So for some context, this screenshot was taken right from the map listings of Google. However, the same holds true for the local stack. If you see the example on the left, you can kind of see the difference. The one on the right is a map listing, The one on the left is the Google search results in the local stack that I kind of talked about earlier in the webinar. So I got a question. Who is Bright Local? Bright Local is another good company. They're like Moz.com. They help you increase your presence of local listings, help manage those local listings across the web. And they do a lot of kind of research on reviews and all that sort of stuff as well. So they're a good company to take a look at if you need help getting more listings out there or managing your listings. They're a great company. So I wanted to spend some more time on conversion rates because it's that important. A company called Revio actually found that 50 or more reviews per company can mean a 4.6% increase in conversion rates. You can see on the chart here that in general, the more reviews you have, the higher increase in conversion rate that you can expect. What's even more staggering is the fact that a study done at Harvard found that restaurants added a 5 to 9% lift in revenues for each additional star rating they received. While this is based on information from restaurants, I know, what would an additional 5% or heck, even just a 2% lift in revenues mean for your business? So this leads me to an important point. It is equally critical that you focus both on high quality and a high quantity of reviews. In order to get the most value out of reviews, you can't solely focus on star rating or just the sheer numbers of reviews you have. You have to get both in order to rank well. You have to have a good amount of quality and a good amount of quantity coming in. So that kind of gives you guys the basics of why reviews are important and what it can mean for your business. Now I want to get into the meat of it is, how to get more reviews online. And I'll be honest with you, getting reviews is tough. There's no way around it. The problem is that most businesses just hope to get reviews, and they don't have a process to get more reviews. So the question becomes is, how do you ever expect to get reviews if you're not seeking them out? Customers are lazy, and they're not going to do something unless there's some need behind it. Sure, you may get some reviews here and there, but they're going to be few and far between. So what do you have to do? You have to ask for the review. It's really that simple. And from our testing, there are currently 40 decent ways to ask for a review, and you should do all of these. The first one is emailing the customer, asking them to leave you a review on one of your websites or one of your listings, I should say. The second is texting the customer. And the third is calling the person and asking them if they would take some time out of their day to leave you a review. But fourth, and probably the most effective way, is to ask the person after the job or service is completed. And this is my favorite because people are much more open if you're standing there right with them. And this is especially true if you're a local business and you're dealing with your customers face to face. If you did a decent job, they should be pretty excited about everything and should leave you a review right then and there. But the key thing here is when you're asking for reviews is to not obviously do it right in front of them, but to help them out. Is to say, hey, you know what, would you leave me a review? And if you do, what you need to do is go onto Google, do a search for my company, and leave me a review. I'll help you kind of walk through each step of the process. The problem that people run into is that they may just kind of leave the job site and ask for the review just through email the next day. Well, people have already moved on. They've already kind of forgotten about you. The key first step is to ask the person in review, ask for the person in person for a review. If they don't do it right then, follow up with them with an email, follow up with them with a text right afterwards, kind of reminding them to do it. And then if they don't, give them a call. Give them a call a few days later. Say, hey, I'm just checking in. I wanted to make sure everything is going well. With the service that I did, is there any questions that you have? Oh, hey, by the way, can you leave me a review? It really means a lot to me. I know one of the questions that I had earlier was, how do I incentivize customers to leave me a review? And that's a good question. And Google, especially actually Yelp even, frowns upon paying people or incentivizing that way to leave you a review. I'll try to steer clear of that. But the best, honest way is to ask them and to help them through the process, and make it as easy for them as possible. So when you do email them or when you do text them, include a link right to your Google business page, or right to your Facebook page, so they can leave you a review very easily. Include the instructions in the email. When you ask a person, walk them through it. If they need help, do so. Be that resource. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. Once you start incentivizing people to do it, some of these sites actually might catch on and remove all those reviews. I've seen it happen where they go back and remove almost all the reviews someone kind of took the time to gather up. But you don't need to do it. So what you should do, like I said, is you got to ask, and you have to get in the habit. You and your team have to get in the habit of asking them each and every time. Explain to them why it matters. Explain, hey, reviews are really important to me. It's the primary way I get business. It's a good way for me to kind of get more customers and that sort of thing. So I included a couple of example ways to ask for a review, and these are it right here. So, we appreciate your business and value your opinion. Would you be willing to leave us a review on Google and Facebook? Another good one would be, in order to make our service better, we'd like your honest feedback. We use a system to capture customer reviews. If you have a minute, I could walk you through the process. Those are what you should be saying, and it's important to nail down the script and share it with your team members so that they do it each and every time. And you can kind of tailor it to what you need and what you need to say. So before I go back, or before I get into how to manage the reviews, I want to go back into how to get reviews. I think the key thing is not to incentivize your customers, but to incentivize your employees. We have a lot of companies who incentivize their employees with gift cards, monthly, whoever gets the most reviews. It can be something that's a gas card, like $100 a month. Not your clients, but your employees will love it. And it could be simple as, hey, whoever gets the most reviews wins the gift card. It could be, hey, if every time one of your clients leaves a review or mentions your name, you're going to get $50. It's that easy. These people will then remember to do it more often than you might think. So if you want to incentivize someone, incentivize your employees, not your customers. All right, so I want to get into how to manage reviews. There are two key points when you're dealing with reviews that are coming in. The first is that you want to make sure to respond to each and every review that comes in, no matter what, no matter how good, how bad or crazy or what the reviewer said about your company. And the second, and most importantly, is to leave your emotions out of responding to the review. I've seen many customers ruin all the work that they have done by replying to a negative review in the wrong way. So here are some good examples of how to respond to a good review. This is really easy, obviously, but there's a few things to keep in mind. One is to be timely. You don't want to wait around too long before you respond. And two is to refer to the person by name. I think this example in the bottom here is great. Thank you for the 5-star review, Anthony. We were pleased that Tim and Matt responded to your plumbing issue. Your business is appreciated. I think that's a great way to review it, or leave a response. What responses do is when people are reviewing reviews before they call you, they'll see that you're engaged with your customers and kind of following up with them. The hard part is responding to bad reviews. And there's two ways to do this. You can either do it good or bad. You can respond like an adult, or you can respond like a child. The one above here, in my opinion, is like a child. And I don't blame the business owner for being upset about this review. I would be too. But the issue here is that the owner takes the issue head on and tries to defend and explain the situation over again. And if you read his response, it might sound like a reasonable reason why things didn't work out. But at the end of the day, it didn't resolve the customer's issue. And it comes across a bit defensive. And more importantly, everybody who's going to read that review and read that response is going to read about 5 words of that and give up. They're going to see that you just try to defend yourself and didn't try to solve that customer's actual problem. So they're going to move on. They move on to another review, or they may move on to a different company. The key thing here is to take your emotions out of it. Take a step back, take a few deep breaths, have somebody else respond to the review, or at a later time, respond to it yourself. A good way to respond to it is just to have a canned response ready to go. And this is a good response. Someone rated this person with 2 stars, kind of goes into why. The owner says, Chris, mentions it to my name, which is great. We're currently looking into this issue, and a manager will contact you within 2 hours. Thank you, Pat Swanson, customer satisfaction member or manager. This is perfect. There's no other better way you can do it. Potential customers who read this review will say, hey, you know what? They try to resolve this issue with the customer. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We don't know, but at least they tried to do so. An even better way to respond to this is actually to include your phone number. And what I've had happen to me personally through some bad reviews that we get, and we get bad reviews as well sometimes. And I put my phone number. I said, hey, to the reviewer, give me a call and we can resolve this issue. Well, what happened about a month later was that a potential customer actually called my personal phone number, which I left on that review, called me and said, hey, I was just reading this review that you left, or excuse me, reading the response to a review that you left. I want to give you a call. I'm interested in your business. So talk about a way to turn a negative into a positive. If you respond to negative reviews in the right way, it can lead to more leads. And I can guarantee you that. So this concludes the section on reviews. I'm going to get some questions here that I have, but it's important to remember that local SEO and reviews play closely together. If you start with a strong foundation of local SEO best practices, and then you add in reviews, you're going to start to see Google My Business results in no time. They really do work well together, and anybody who is a local business needs to be doing both. You may have a strategy elsewhere. You may have a paid search strategy. You may have a paid social media strategy. You may have different things like that on how to get customers. But the key cornerstone of any local business is your Google My Business listing and your reviews. So I ran a little bit long here. I apologize for that, but we do have a few minutes for questions, and I'm going to get into those right now. John asks here, if our company has an older review that is negative, will it do more harm to respond? It sounds like that review is about 5 years out. No, I will go back and respond to all of your reviews that you have right now. A good to do for you guys outside of the ones I gave you for local SEO is right now go and respond to every review that you have. You might have to change your messaging when it's 5 years out, but the reason why I would do it is mainly more for Google's sake. I think that would look good in Google's eyes that you're showing some engagement and interest in responding to those reviews. And it might help if somebody were to stumble across that really old review, if they see it and that you responded. I don't think it would look bad. I think it will look slightly better if you do respond to it, but that's a great question. So yeah. Any other questions out there? That was kind of the last one that I saw. I don't know if I missed one earlier. If I did, please let me know now. If not, I'm going to have Lisa jump back on and kind of wrap this up for us.
Great. Thank you, Drew. I really appreciate it. This is the second time we've done this, and I have a whole bunch of notes of things I've learned. So
Awesome.
always new stuff. So I really appreciate it. And I just want to kind of share my personal experiences with Drew and the team at 33. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lisa Lavender. I'm Chief Operating Officer of the Restoration Technical Institute, but also Burke's Fire Water Restorations, which is a full-service, large regional restoration company. And we are very grateful that Jeff was able to share his experience with us so that we can learn. But and he didn't get into the specific tool that they have to offer that has helped us tremendously, and that's their Acquirely application. And so for the last year or so now, we've been using the Acquirely application for both Berks Fire Water and the Restoration Technical Institute. And I just wanted to kind of share some of my experiences. On Berks Fire Water, our Google rankings have improved greatly, and we have right now we have 15 reviews, and I can tell you 12 of the 15 are a direct result of our working with the Acquirely app. And we have 66 Facebook reviews, and ironically, people seem to gravitate on our restoration company onto Facebook, which is fine. That works too. And then for our training center, after every class, we send every student a prompt to give us a review. And we have 24 Google reviews from the Restoration Technical Institute solely from our work with Acquirely, and we have 29 on Facebook, and that's constantly growing. So we've been really happy with the results and the ease of use. And so one of the biggest challenges, which I'm very aware of and in tune with, is to get people to do them. And I'm just going to offer some of my experiences and some dialogues. The Acquirely app, what it does is it allows us to put a very easy, user-friendly setup on every device of pretty much everybody in our company. So they can be on a job site, finishing up a water loss with a homeowner who said, "You guys were great, thank you so much." And then we tell our team, "Hey, right then and there, say, thank you. Do you mind if I send you a review?" And they put in the person's information very quickly, easily, and the person gets a very professional, logoed engagement via text and email if we put both pieces of information in. And we have very good results at capturing those reviews. So we don't necessarily make our technicians, because I know that's always a challenge, start a dialogue out of nowhere and explain why we want them, because that's a little bit unnatural for certain people. That's definitely something that you could get managers to do a little bit easier. But our technicians are very engaged in the process. When somebody's already telling you, "Thank you, you did a great job," they jump right in. I will tell you that we seem to get a much better response and engagement via text than email. So it's very good to get cell phone numbers. And I mean, even with our classes, one class first, somehow we didn't get everybody's cell phone, and we didn't get as many as responses as we do when we get text. So just wanted to share some of my experiences. We do have a couple questions. Drew, if you could jump back in there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, John, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about some strategy if you would like. Shoot me an email, Drew, DREW, at 33mileradius.com, and I'll respond and we can get something set up for you. Justin, the name of the app is Acquirely. If you go to 33mileradius.com, um, and I can share that with the group here. Just go there. If you click on review, if you click on services and then review generation, or it may say Acquirely now, click on that and you can learn more about it. Again, if you want to reach out to me, I'll be happy to set you up with that as well. My email again is drew at 33mileradius.com. I'm going to send that out in the chat window now. If you guys have any other questions, let me know.
Drew, do you mind just pulling up the actual website quick, 33, so everyone knows what they're looking for on your screen?
Yeah, let me have to get out of the webinar here. Hold on 1 second.
Don't want to mess you up too much.
Yeah, it's okay. Do this here. So yes, here's the site. In the next few days, we're actually going to be changing some of the stuff here, but
it's not pulling up, Drew.
I may have clicked the wrong button. You can't see my screen now?
I can see your screen, but you're in PowerPoint. It's not showing the.
Oh.
That's okay.
Okay. I'm
well,
sorry.
You know what? We'll in our thank you for attending, we'll make sure your link is on there. And you can also find a link to their website on the RTI, Restoration Technical Institute's website, under the partners page. They're there. And we've really enjoyed partnering with you. And you've done great service to us in helping our SEO for both companies. And I thank everybody for joining us. And we did record this, and we're going to have it available on our YouTube, so that if you have any teammates or colleagues that you wanted to check this out and or get some education about SEO and the local searching, please, you can send them that way to the YouTube, and we'll have it available by the end of the day tomorrow. So thank you all.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Drew.